Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Brighton Area Schools Board special meeting. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Ackermite, roll call, please.
Mrs. Urbane? Present. Mr. Storm? Present. Mrs. Tierney? Here. Mr. Stahl?
Present.
Dr. Krebs? Here. Mrs. Mark? Here. Mr. Meyer?
Here. That moves us to the approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Moved by Dr. Krebs.
Support.
Support by Ms. Marks. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any nays? That passes 7-0. That moves us to the call to the public. If there's anyone here this evening that would like to address the board, this is your opportunity to do so. Our protocol is to have you fill out a card at the rear of the room, deposit it in the box to the right of Dr. Outlaw. When I call your name, you'll have 3 minutes to address the board. It's not a question and answer session. It's just your opportunity to address the board regarding a particular topic. Mr. Stahl will be keeping track of time during the 3 minutes. And when there's 30 seconds left, he will display a yellow card. And when your time is up, he will display a red card. Are there any cards? That's it? Okay. Sid Atkin.
Okay, I will not take 3 minutes. I'm the one that asked the question about the continuing at a 2.72 millage as opposed to the 2.92 we're at now, or whatever those exact numbers were. I'm still a little confused. I'm just hoping we can look at that a little closer. I don't know why we'd go to what it's going to be dropping to in the new year as opposed to what it is at now. I feel like any drop that happens is going to be a mountain to climb up to that spot again in the future. So if you're giving away 0.2 points now for I don't know what reason, maybe there's a good reason, but if you're giving up those 0.2 points now, you're just never getting them back. Or you're not going to get them back without a heck of a fight and a case to be made. So looking at the items that, like I know for me, with the BCPA, with the seats not being included in the bond, and it's as also anything done in the backstage, I mean, that area, that building has been a jewel, a beacon of Brighton, and without any really additional investment, but it's over 30 years old and needs it. And if we don't do it now, then I just don't know when we're going to do it. So I would, and I'm sure there's other things as well. So if that 90 million becomes 95, 96, I don't know what that looks like, but I just don't know why we'd give up those 2 points. So anyway, that's my thoughts. Thanks.
Thank you. All right. That concludes. Oh.
Evening board, Andrew Storm, graduate 2023. Obviously, I'm going to piggyback off of what I was saying earlier. My key thing here that I was focusing on, obviously, being in the community, talking to people every day out in the community, all we hear is people saying, we love the bond. It seems like way too much for what we need. Explain it to us more. There's tons of people, including me, fired up about the bond in the aspect of supporting the band. Nothing better than Friday night lights at football games and the pep bands out there at halftime before the game. Great investment in the band. Absolutely agree with that. But what I'm here for is the curriculum aspect of it. We can build all these beautiful things, but what I noticed in Brighton High School was pretty scary to me in the aspect of what is going on in a daily classroom. I referenced to him, how are we going to inspect these classrooms, see how these kids are interacting, how they're supposed to grow in these classrooms? Starting off with political stuff. Why is there political stuff in a classroom? I could preach I'm a Democrat, Republican, this and that. School's not a political place. We have grown men writing articles back and forth about their views on this, their views on that. What's the view of the kid in the classroom? How about chemistry class where there's kids doing 2 tabs of acid in the back getting cracked out of his mind. Where are those people inspecting that kind of crap that goes on in our high school? I didn't see it. You get the principal to come in once every 3-4 months and see it. That was my frustration. I'm trying to study for chemistry, and there's kids literally doing acid tabs in the back of our classroom. We have people out here expressing their passion for their kid, and that's great. They're fired up for their kid. They hope they go to Harvard, Yale, wherever, a 5-star elite program. What about all the other people that are in these classrooms with the teachers that don't like to install the curriculum correctly to the best of their ability? When we have teachers talking to us about how they're suing the heck out of their sister because they hate their sister so much, how is that curriculum in a high school in an economics class? It's not. You don't talk about how much you hate your sister, you're going to sue her, and throw a gay pride flag on the wall. That's not curriculum. You wind back to the 80s, you see pictures of all these people, every one of them smiling in the classroom because they're happy, they're all involved. The teachers are nice. Referring to my old man, we just drove 9 hours a couple weeks ago. He ran into his elementary teacher from 4th grade and she still knew his name. I bet if you asked half the teachers over there, no idea, because obviously they have a lot more kids, but it showed how much passion he had for school when he went there. You go to school nowadays, no one cares about school. You go to the bathroom to use the restroom, there's 10 kids hucking vapes in there and smoking weed pens. It's terrible. It's terrible. You go to auto tech classroom and all you have there is kids sitting on their laptops while the teacher sits in the front corner of the lab. I love the school. I love how much you guys are pouring into the school. I appreciate all you do for the school, but there's a lot of things behind the scenes you don't see that I think you guys should open up a door to, looking into. Thank you. Have a nice night.
John Conley.
Thank you. John Conley, Green Oak Township. Also 1980 Brighton High School graduate. My mom graduated in 55. Been around for a while. But this young man who just spoke kind of led me to the other thing that maybe the board should look into. I got the data from our own LASA about our college graduation rates after 4 years. And I'm sure you all know that you're graduating 28.5% of the 100% that you send after 4 years. That's true, Roger. That's the number right from LASA. And that number then grows to near 50% or a little over 50% after 6 years. You can get the same data that I got. Maybe you should get it. So who are we catering to? Are we looking, how are we telling these kids that they're going to be successful citizens when we're graduating 28.5% after 4 years? And the ones that don't graduate, what about not having careers and things in mind of what they're going to do, student loan debt and everything else that goes with it? And so it's an alignment. So why don't you order it up, Roger? You just gave me the look. You can get it the same as I did, and you'll get it directly from LASA. They'll give you the college graduation rates from all of the schools. And I will say this, that we're higher than the rest of them. You can get them from all of the county schools. I know you can't speak back, but at the same time, that's what they are. And I can send you the copies that they sent me. So 4 years, 28.5%. So we definitely need to kind of think about that, what that young man passionately talked about. It's a serious situation. Thank you.
All right. That concludes the call to the public for this evening and moves us to, for action, item A, Human Resources Report. Mr. Anastasov.
All right, good evening. So we have, today in the report, we have 3 new teachers that we're recommending tonight, with 1 at Spencer, 2 at the Bridge, which after tonight, if this successfully goes through, it leaves us with 3 known vacancies at this point. So we've had a few added over the summer. If these 3 go through tonight, we're looking at 26 total teacher, counselor, social worker positions that we vacancies filled this year, up to 29 if we fill the other one. So it's definitely a much larger year than the past couple for new staff.
Okay. do we have a motion to approve the Human Resources Report as presented? So moved. Moved by Mr. Stahl,
Support.
support by Dr. Krebs. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any nays? That passes 7-0. And I would like to welcome the new hires to our district, and we're looking forward to all of the tremendous things that you will be bringing to the district and leveraging your talents for the betterment of our students. All right, that,
Are any of them here? They are not. Okay. That's good.
No, we typically, when you approve them, we
Right.
don't have them here, and then we'll invite them to a future meeting to meet you all. Yep.
all right. That concludes the for action portion of the agenda, and that moves us to the work session portion of the agenda. So for our workshop this evening, as everyone is aware, this is a continuation of our ongoing discussion regarding the prospect of voting to place a bond to the voters in November of 2026, or alternatively, if there is not support for that proposition, to defer, and if that were to be the case, then there would really not be a need to have further conversation this evening about the scope of what a potential bond might look like. Based upon the conversations that we have had as a board collectively in the past, the consensus, a majority of the board was in favor of investigating and pursuing the prospect of placing another bond on the ballot. The parameters of what that would look like, based upon the previous conversations, was to look at a proposed bond which would maintain the existing millage rate as of at the end of 2026, beginning of 2027, which was 2.73 mils. If the millage rate were to be maintained and renewed by the voters in November of 2026 to continue at 2.73 mils after after the end of 2026, that would generate the possibility of approximately $90,250,000 of funds to finance projects in the district. In addition to looking at the potential scope and the millage rate, there was extensive discussion about the projects that might be included in a potential bond. We, as part of the due diligence that the district did after the May bond failed, was to conduct an outreach through surveys to the community, to stakeholders, to find out and get as much feedback as we possibly could to understand what might frame our decision-making process with their feedback for a potential future bond, and in particular, as part of that survey and investigative process, to understand those who didn't support the project but had indicated that they might support a future bond if there were changes to the scope, to try to understand what that looked like and what were the type of projects that that those particular community members and the feedback we got from them that would be very valuable in our decision-making process. So we've received all that information. We've had discussions here at the board. There's been committee meetings. And from those conversations, we are now here tonight. The administration has put together a list of potential projects that we are going to need to talk about. The framework for the projects that have been looked at by the administration in conjunction with the feedback from King Scott and Clark, our professional consultants, in analyzing the scope of those projects, changes in potential costs for those projects, since it was estimated in the previous bond. But the framework being, or the parameters being, the focusing on what has been described as safety, space, and replacement, as opposed to what I would call generically as enhancements, things that were on the last bond that didn't necessarily fall within a bucket of what we can, or silos of safety space and replacement. So a lot of what we will be discussing tonight are these projects that have been within the parameters of those three categories. And really the task for us this evening is to talk about to what extent we support the potential projects that have been looked at within those three areas, and then ultimately come to a consensus, hopefully, of what we, as a majority, at least a majority of the board, would support with regard to the specific identity of projects. So that kind of recaps where we are, what we're here for tonight. And so I guess, I'm going to turn it over, Dr. Outlaw or Dave?
Mr. Jones, would you mind increasing the size on the screen, just so everybody can see? I see people squinting, so if we could get down in the right corner here. If you want, like go right, yeah, right here. So it's on the screen, but maybe a little bit larger. Mr. Jones, would you mind just sharing with the board what you put together here on the screen, the summary, based on the work that President Myers was just talking about? And then at the board's pleasure, like if you want to go like building by building, like how do you want to go about that process? But maybe Mr. Jones could give a lay of the land of what it is he put together in this Excel spreadsheet first.
So I put together a working document based upon when the new amount was computed by Baker Tilly of the amount of bond dollars that would be available without a millage increase. Clark redid the project list that we had done from the previous election to get close to that dollar amount. So I took that document and I turned it into a working document where by each building, I listed out each project and pricing it, and then categorized it in the three main categories we're looking at, which is safety, space, and replacement, to have this as a working document so we could, or you could continually make changes. I could update the changes and we could get a pretty quick idea of where we were at. I will say though, so I started, it was right around $90 million, but what I have moved to this, I'm gonna call it moved to the side, not taken out of the document, but it's not in the totals, are the few projects that were identified by the Facilities Committee that they want to use the Capital Projects Fund to pay for and not the bond. So, so you will see the initial document from Clark was about $90 million, and we're up to about 87, 88 right now. Oh, yeah, about 88, based upon the fact that I moved those projects being funded by the Capital Project Fund out of here. Okay.
So I'm going to, President Meyer, would you like to go through school by school and talk about the projects that were included and ask questions for understanding purposes, something along those lines? What step would you, how can we?
I think from an organizational standpoint, that probably makes the most. I mean, obviously, there's some projects that are district-wide, but I think we can start with the projects that are by building. And we can start there and then go through each of those. Before we move on to a new building, we can, anybody that has questions regarding what's included in the list for that building, the cost parameters. I mean, obviously, these are all projects that we talked about ad nauseum prior to the May election. But to the extent that some of these projects may have changed or there's nuances regarding the cost structure, certainly want to have that opportunity to have that conversation. So.
Can I suggest that we begin with Hawkins? That was our first
Sure.
one.
Mr. Urbane?
Are architects and construction people going to participate in this
If
conversation?
you have questions,
Yes.
absolutely, they'll come up here. and-
Okay, I was just going to suggest to get them a microphone, because that's one of the things we heard, is that when they were responding in previous meetings, people online could not hear
If you
them.
get questions, if you don't mind coming up here, that's a great point. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll start with Hawkins. So we'll start with Hawkins.
I'm going in the order that Clark did, so.
Okay, perfect.
Do you want me to just share what the projects are, then you can ask questions of the team? We still have the lockout system is on the list, and I know that's kind conversation. The classroom remodel, relocate music classroom, renovate special education classrooms, loose furnishing and technology is what we had on the list for Hawkins. As we talked about during the community Q&A, Hawkins is the furthest ahead because they already had that large gymnasium, so they had the most space of all the 4 elementary schools. Are there any questions on the projects that are on the Hawkins list?
Maybe a point of clarification on Hawkins. It's been mentioned multiple times about the space and the special rooms that we have in that particular building. It was my understanding that there was a very intentional effort to create Hawkins as a school that would be suited for special needs students. Is that factually correct?
I think in the past, that was absolutely what they did, but all schools are expected to be able to service students.
Most certainly, but I think just in the context of them having
Yeah,
some of
they
the
do have more
special-
center program.
Correct.
That they do have there.
That's a function of the district and the board very intentionally establishing Hawkins as kind of a center of excellence for serving those students.
Yeah, and I would say in the past that was there. I would say our numbers have increased significantly, and our other buildings are experiencing need in that area as well. And
I
that
agree.
Hawkins cannot take all students that are in need.
So when we talked about 2 classrooms per building, are we adding classes or just renovating classrooms at Hawkins?
At Hawkins, it would be the addition of 1 classroom that would be, it's the music classroom. Do you mind, I think Brendan, do you mind just coming up here and explaining it? This is from King Scott, Brendan Pollard. King Scott are the architects.
Yeah, so it was adding a music room. Currently, the music room is in the previously remodeled space, but it's between some other general ed classrooms. And just from an acoustic standpoint, isn't very isolated. So we were going to put that in the addition and then remodel the music room back to a general ed classroom.
So we pick up a room there.
Correct.
That's the last room in that series of rooms in that remodel, right? That's why we talked about making it more acoustic.
Well, it'll be an addition, so we'll have a physical separation. We'll acoustically treat it. It'll be separated, yeah, acoustically.
Just for clarification, you said that the addition, the music room would be an addition at Hawkins?
Correct.
Okay. I thought it was going to be that very last room of the building, and then the other room that it was in would be remodeled.
What do we have in for dollars?
The last price actually did not include the addition of
Okay, so it's just remodeling.
remodeling,
It's the remodel.
Okay, gotcha.
All right, I apologize. That was from May. I apologize. I was,
We've been through it a lot.
Thank you.
Just- yeah.
Thank you.
We're not getting in the classroom in there. We're just, or are we getting a room that was wasn't?
Yeah, I think the reconfiguration is with our special education spaces. I think
Correct.
that's where we're picking up our classrooms.
Okay, thank you.
Right, correct.
And that's in the other end of the building, yeah.
Yes.
But moving the music room, acoustically improving the separation between the other classrooms. Yep.
Other questions on Hawkins? It's okay, let's go to Hilton. What's the next one on the list here? Okay, Hilton, the well was removed and would be paid out of the capital improvement fund. But remaining gymnasium, it's classroom and also the site work, expanding, reworking the parking lot. If you go to that area, there's a large field. It would be expanding the parking lot to the south end of that parking lot. The lockout system, I'm not going to talk about that. That's district-wide. Obviously, the gymnasium addition classroom, that's where their classrooms are coming from. And loose furnishing and technology. What questions do you have about about Hilton Elementary School?
So as far as, let's say, I'm give you the line number, 14 and 15, why do both of those lines reference gymnasium, I guess, and maybe to frame the question differently, is the total cost of all the renovations that involve the gymnasium equal to 6.7 million?
6.7. So the,
Adding lines 14 and 15
so-
together?
Brendan, am I correct that line 14 is talking about reconfiguring the previous gymnasium into those 2 classrooms?
Dollar-wise, is that
That's what
correct?
I'm,
Yep.
so line 14 is taking the current gym, which is that 60 by 30 gymnasium that's shared with the cafeteria, and converting that into 2 classroom spaces that's right across from the office.
Plus
And
the
then-
cafeteria.
Yeah, and then 15 would be adding that would be the new gymnasium that would be added. And line 11 is the site work for it.
And what's the dimensions of that new gym?
It would be that 100 by 71
It'll match the Hawkins
approximately.
footprint.
The 100 by 71 is Hawkins, so it's kind of based on that.
I mean,
So that's roughly what I would call a middle school, a high school technically regulation, 84-foot court, but is more suitable for like middle school competition.
And just a point of clarification, because this has changed, and so for people that paid attention the first time around, this is with the exclusion of the exterior restrooms, right? So this is just the gymnasium?
I believe that's
no
correct. We took those
exterior
out, yep.
restrooms, Correct, okay. Thank you.
Any other questions on Hilton?
Remind me again how the team came up with the 5.3 plus the 278 for a 100-foot, 86 to 100-foot gym. So if you add those two together, we're at roughly, say 5.6 million, not including the classroom. It seems like it's really expensive for a square box.
Well, it's a high bay square box with a gymnasium floor. And typically, that would be like a 104 by 70, which is about 7,300 square feet. So, doing the math on that, let's see.
We actually figured 9,500 square feet for that.
Because that'll have storage, right?
John?
Yep.
Do you mind coming up here too, just for everybody?
The storage
Sorry.
is mimicking what's at Hawkins, right? It's got that section for.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Can you repeat that 9,500?
Yes, we were 9,500 square foot is what we assumed for the gym. It was 6,800 square feet for the gym itself, and then another 2,700 square feet for corridor and support storage space that would be part of that gym. Because we have to tie it into the existing structure. There's certain limitations in how it ties into the structure for fire ratings and compartments and things like that, so.
And so the cost per square foot is,
We were carrying escalated with all fully loaded costs, we were about 380 a square foot.
380 a square foot.
For construction.
Yeah, that's
Direct trade
direct,
costs.
yeah, trade costs, sorry.
Is that with fire suppression?
Yes.
Because we, I talked about having.
Oh, actually, did we not? No, this is just
I don't
the,
think that building is sprinkled.
this just includes the fire separation.
Not required.
So there was no fire suppression needed.
Yeah, I just wonder how you get to that cost per square foot, with a square box, regardless of the height, right? It's all,
Like Brendan said, it's got a high, expensive wood floor in it. There's corridor tie-in requirements. We've got a CMU portal frame to tie it in, 2-hour fire separation. That includes all our MEP services to get into the building and service that, because it's going to be a standalone, so it'll be a new rooftop unit. I'd have to get into the site work of what we had included, because we went through each building, we located it on site, we went into site specifics on what the actual site work would have to be to locate that gym on site as well.
Impacts on the playground too, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to pull up.
Just to fill in the blank here, so our industry partners here, we have industry partners from Clark Construction Company, and John is our estimator, and Brendan Pollard is from King Scott. He's our lead architect, just so we know who's talking here.
Yeah, so it included costs to demo some existing storage that's there on site, relocating sheds. We had to relocate a water main. What else? And then the other site constraints that were relocated, we had pavement that was getting redone, new landscaping. I mean, there's a whole lot of stuff that rolled into what was going to be required to fit that onto the existing building.
Did you mention the playground component too, relocating that as well?
Some playground impacts, yeah.
It's the
Mhm.
basketball court that they utilize. That should be in there too. I know we talked about it.
Yeah,
Jones, if you could, the next page we have is Horning. So I'm going to go through here, the secure vestibule, the site work for that, and then we have gymnasium, site work, drive loop, parking. This is connected with Malpe as well, so that price is shared between our two buildings. There's the actual secure vestibule, which also includes special education classrooms in that line item.
Why is that, Dr. Joel? Just out of curiosity, why do we combine a secure vestibule with special?
Because the existing office, actually,
Yeah.
I'll let you guys answer, sorry.
Okay. Yeah, we're pulling the office out of the center of the building to the outside. So it's not just the vestibule, it's the vestibule and the office. And then we were going in and remodeling the existing office for special ed.
Could we relocate the office to a different part of the building? Why does it have to be at or near the entrance to the principal's office?
Well, technically, I mean, the admin really needs to be contiguous, so are you suggesting having a vestibule separate from the office?
Well, just with technology now, right, when you think of security, like space is healthy when it comes to trying to provide safety and security for whomever it is that's managing that particular process. And so similar to this building, right, when you come here after the campus has been locked down, or any district building, you walk up as a parent, you push the button, and someone confirms, asks who you are, looks at you through the camera, and they then allow you to enter the building. So just wondering, if that has been taken into consideration.
So, I mean, the typical
You
best
have
practice.
someone standing there, like opening the door, you walk in the office, but in today's day and age, that's actually not desirable.
Well, actually, I think best practices are for a person to evaluate them so you let them into a vestibule, you buzz them into the office, they have an interaction with a human being, and you're evaluated then, and you can control whether the doors leading out of that space are allowed into the building or not. So that's really the process of how you would set that up.
So in the current construct, the preference is to have a admin at the actual.
Correct. And the problem with the existing building right now is you enter into, the secure vestibule is the corridor. And it's open, the office is open to the corridor, and kids are having to go to the cafeteria, to the gym, yep, through that space, and it's just not, it's not a good way to secure anything. So your only control point is from that electronic buzz-in, where you get a picture of somebody's face. You don't really get a read of their, how they're presenting themselves before you let them in.
So the next one on here is we have the gym addition, which is similar to what we saw at Hilton, gymnasium cafeteria renovation. Now that is, that's part of our expanded learning space there, as well as the renovating the multi-purpose space, which is oftentimes called the Friendship Center area. That's where our classrooms, do you mind just explaining how we're picking up space there?
Yeah, so the, gym space needs to be larger typically. So you were using half of that as cafeteria. That half really still functions for cafeteria. And then you would take the remaining space and remodel that as special ed space, multi-purpose space that could be used for after hours kid care and things like that. So it's just remodeling that space into more individualized spaces in addition to the cafeteria.
Any other questions or comments regarding Horning?
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. I just wanted to, can we talk about the drive loop and the parking lot? Because that's a sizable amount of money at this building. And then also there's a little, I think, associated with, the neighboring school, right? So between those two, and some of this is dependent on the traffic study that we're awaiting results on, right? And what that shows us.
Correct.
I mean, just from my perspective, I think everyone is in agreement that that is challenging, to say the least, the parking and the traffic flow there. However, depending on what those results are, I'm hesitant to, invest $6 million between those two campuses if it's not a noticeable improvement to safety and time for the parents and staff. If it's a 2-minute or 3-minute difference, I would not be in favor of devoting those kind of dollars to that in addition to potentially tearing up green space behind the schools. So I'm just saying that now. I know we don't know until we have those results, but because it is such a sizable amount of money and we do have I think a laundry list of projects in the district that could benefit from those dollars if we don't see significant improvement. That's just my personal opinion.
And your ballot language will be set up that if you don't utilize all of those funds, they can be appropriated for other projects that are described in the bond, so remodeling, additions, site work, things like that elsewhere.
Not specifically at that school. Is it so used that it could be used in the same way contingency dollars would be used, that you could then, put it in another building?
If it falls within the ballot language specifically, and that's what the attorney will work with you to define.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
I just wanted to clarify for people listening and that know Horning, the renovation of the multipurpose space will be more of that special ed. It'll have a toilet changing space, and then 2 classrooms in the back, and then the gym that is currently will actually be split and can be used as classrooms or friendship center, or it's, as Brendan was saying, very multi-purpose, but I wanted to just clarify that in case anybody was wondering, because it's slightly different than previous.
Any other questions on Horning? And on the road study, we're waiting. We were supposed to have our final results on Friday, and there was a question that they had to have answered. We answered that on Friday, but have not received the report yet. Once we receive the report, we will get it to our industry experts, and that'll get us an answer ASAP. Are we ready to move on to Spencer? Spencer, very similar to Horning. The 2 buildings are almost identical. So as we look through this, the drive loop is a difference from Horning. The rest of the projects are pretty much the same. The boilers that were to be replaced have been shifted and are now being paid out of the capital improvement fund through the facility committee. And then there's a few other things with the HVAC stuff at the bottom. Do you guys mind explaining what the HVAC items are in line 20 and 21? I'm sorry to put you on the spot on that.
So that's the air conditioning, condensing units, pumps and components. So I'm, what's the detail in there?
Pumps, VFDs, air separator, expansion tank, and then the ACCU systems.
So that would be, I think it's primarily providing air conditioning for classrooms, right?
And that's a replacement of the existing.
Yeah, replacement, yep.
Any questions on Spencer? Mr. Jones, if you could go to Maltby. Maltby, the part of the drive loop improvements is Maltby. The big one at Maltby is the roof replacement, and it's a full roof replacement. And the elevators that were in the previous bond have all been removed, and those are also capital improvement projects that have been moved from the facility committee. And are there any questions on Maltby?
Yes. We had renovating some of those 10 classrooms. I'm wondering if we can work with you guys to see if we can bring that in a little bit tighter to accomplish that for those classrooms, because the number was pretty large on the first one. I think it was 1.8.
And that was, I think, primarily to change the entry alcoves into those classrooms.
At Mulvey, that was it.
Main
Mulvey,
entrance,
it's
so.
just yeah, that was at Horning.
Oh, Maltby,
So
yeah,
I'm
I'm
sorry,
sorry.
Mulvey.
I was thinking-
We had 10 rooms in there that required casework and just sinks and
Oh, casework,
countertops
casework
and-
Yeah,
and sinks,
yep.
Sinks
that
and
work, yeah.
cosmetic
Got it.
improvements, yes.
Yeah, yep.
Didn't we have, their only request really, there was 2 requests. One of them was bleachers. Did we take that out? I thought that was one of their, that they're hard to pull out and that kind of thing there.
I think the bleachers are Scranton and the high school from the May.
You're right.
Yep.
You say that, I can see that now.
Yeah,
Okay.
but that's something I'd like us to look at if we can fit it in.
What do we have,
Isn't it?
what do we have here for orchestra storage? We've taken that out. Do we have instruments that need to be stored? How are they handling that now?
So I'm not 100% sure. I believe they're in the classroom, which is temperature controlled. It's different than, I think, your high school and your middle school are probably the bigger of the needs of those 3 rooms. But obviously, good storage is important at Maltby, just like it is at Scranton and the high school.
Yeah, my recollection is that those were a condition issue, that the cabinets were kind of beat up and not in great condition. So, yeah, that could be something we can look at putting back on the list.
And just another point of clarification, because we talked about it extensively in previous meetings, this roof does not include skylights, correct? This is just a
Correct.
straight roof?
Correct.
No
Yeah.
additional lighting?
Correct.
Okay.
What we currently have.
Yeah.
That's a hard one, because I think natural light is so important for child's development, their day, Educationally, it is important, and I think people just think, oh, it's a skylight, but natural light really affects them, so that's a hard one to let go.
So that looks like it was a difference of about $800,000 or $900,000 to do the skylights from the older estimate, somewhere in there?
Yeah, and
Versus what we have.
it really
today.
depends. We tossed around a lot of different options at skylights. There's different avenues that you can introduce.
Right, so
Daylight.
just depending on the choice, how many, where
Yep.
they were placed, et cetera? Okay,
Exactly.
Yep.
thank you.
From a security standpoint, isn't it desirable to eliminate glass? Like, I'm in complete agreement. I love natural light. We all love natural light. I'm not opposed to natural light. But isn't there security concerns around glass and minimizing glass because of the potential risk it creates to secure a space?
I mean, you really had to weigh it against the benefits of the natural light. It does have,
But in general, when it comes to security, building security, isn't eliminating the potential for someone to penetrate a glass structure on a roof?
oh, you mean coming in from the roof?
Weren't these sky tubes?
Yeah, these would be like the tubular skylight,
Okay.
not something
That
that you'd
person
really,
can penetrate or
I mean,
compromise?
a small person might be able to get through one, but it, they're like this big around. It's a
Security
polished,
standpoint, it wouldn't
mirror
pose a
polished
risk
tube, no, not
substance.
so much.
We okay moving on to Scranton? Big thing here, orchestra, in addition for the orchestra classroom. Obviously, that includes the site work. The Lee Road parking lot, oh, that was the one we talked about before. So that might be one for us to flag for conversation, whether that was needed or not.
Can I ask a question about that? Because we've
Yeah.
talked a couple times about, and I know there's a couple things going around, about Green Oak doing a sidewalk from Scranton to Hawkins. And we talked about the idea of having a crosswalk, and I think that addresses some of what Mr. Vane was talking about earlier, that ability for students to cross the road. Are we waiting for information from Green Oak, or what does it take for us to get, just even to have a crosswalk there, or is that not part of what we're talking about right
Well,
here?
two things. So the crosswalk is going to be addressed. You took care of that this school year with that partnership with the metropolitan area for that.
That was my
Yeah,
question, and I was going to.
that walkway includes the crosswalk and fixing the walkway for our students, as well as bike riders and everything like that. I know that Green Oak has talked about putting together plans to have a sidewalk that would connect the schools. all the way down there. I don't know what the progress is on that. I don't know what the status is of that, but the crosswalk is being addressed by the Metro walkway.
Thank you.
So,
I've
the,
got a question though.
yeah, sure.
The relocation of the athletic fields and the baseball field, so just using the baseball field as an example. Educate us on how does it cost $450,000 to relocate a baseball field?
There's no current location to just put a field without grading it.
Okay.
You could have storm drainage that would have to get put in, all the fencing and potentially clearing. It just depends on where we locate it on the site. And are you looking for dugouts? We were planning on providing a competition, I think, field over there that could be used for a competition. So it included dugouts, fencing, paving to get to it.
Well, lines
I mean,
11,
it depends. I mean, we didn't get into the specifics on how we were gonna actually develop it, but
Have you
this,
seen the existing baseball fields that are there?
I know there's several around this community. I live in the community, so yes, I'm aware it depends on the level,
In the
but
context of relocating the baseball fields that are there have served the community well. I've spent a lot of time on them. It seems like a lot of money to relocate $450,000 to relocate a baseball field.
so this is connected to that Maltby-Horning if
Road plan? And
right.
now we've
This
talked
is the
about-
worst-case scenario, and I think a lot of these could be adjusted depending on what happens with our road study. The road study, and we've asked them to try to preserve as much green space as possible. So 11, 12, and 13 are all contingent on decisions around that Maltby parking lot.
But I'm assuming though, based on where the fields are, the site work that's called out for the parking project itself, which we're showing the public tonight, 2 spots, both at the schools, Horning and Mulvey. There's site work that's in a budget right now to do the site work for that parking that we're all discussing. So if that's the case, if the site work is captured for both buildings, how do we get, again, feel free to use just round number, how do we get to 453 to relocate a baseball field? So I agree with you, I gotta bring in, dump trucks of clay and topsoil and seed a field and put up a fence. How do we get to 453?
So, I think you need to look at the trade costs, because that's really the construction cost of the fields. The other costs are soft costs, contingencies and fees and plan reviews and things like that. So 307 is not.
no, I mean,
I
this
mean, it
was,
sounds a lot to, the average taxpayer, yes, it does.
we've $150,000 in to remove trees, grading, fill, grass, drainage, storm. We had $35,000 in for equipment. We had $20,000 in for sidewalks. We had $5,000 in for soil erosion control. And then we had contingencies on top of that because of the unknowns. So that's how we looked at this
And
item.
then the other
And-
athletic fields that are referenced on line 12 for 1.5 up to 2.2. Those are just the football fields that are adjacent to the baseball diamonds down there? Is that a fair
I
statement?
think those were from
Yeah.
Maltby.
But there's multiple, it's one big field, but they break them into.
So we included one full field and one half field for the dimensions of that space. That included the tree removal, because the location we proposed for that to go in is where the current treed lot is, off the back of the school. So we plan on taking out part of that treed lot. We had to grade that space, 180,000 square feet of grading. We had asphalt paving to rework some of the drives over there and add some access to get to these fields. We added sidewalks to get access to all the fields over there, because I think that was one of the other concerns, is that there weren't existing sidewalks to get to some of those locations. And then all the topsoil, drainage, we had $170,000 for drainage. We have sprinklers, irrigation, we have equipment included, soil erosion control again, and then contingencies.
Are those fields irrigated right now?
Yes. Mr. Jones, am I correct? Because we put in the irrigation on the practice fields at Maltby, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, we did it.
After the indoor
Yeah,
facility.
after the indoor facility was built, we put it in.
prior to that, Greg Gray and myself had a tractor out there and a bunch of volunteers, and we did it on our own. But, and then a lot of that had to be changed when we put in the new practice field. But I think that system is part of the original that I smile because I remember him sitting on that tractor and thinking he was just having the time of his life. But that part of that system that's still working back there was refigured, so it still works.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Can I ask, oh, go ahead.
Keep mentioning that 11, 12, and 13 are contingent on the parking. Why is 11, or on the loop at Maltby, why is 11 included in that?
I don't know that 11 would be part of that. The concern we heard is when you come to that site, there's really no barrier-free parking. There's, a lot of people are parking on grass and going off-road. So it was to try and solve that. I don't think it had anything to do necessarily with the Maltby, other than if we are adding fields, you are going to increase the load at that site.
I was thinking the load at the site with if you were going to have extra fields and practice and everything like that, but I'm glad to hear, yeah, so it doesn't have to be contingent on the Maltby. But sorry, Roger.
No, I was just going to say, and as a follow-up to that, just so I understand, the cost estimates that are included, or the cost estimate that's included for the added parking lot, Lee Road, line 11, that does not include expanding the scope of the access point off of Lee Road, correct?
No.
The ingress, egress,
No, it was not meant to join the two sides of the
Right.
site.
It'll just
Okay.
be kind of dedicated parking over there. I know my son plays
So
football.
the access-
Parked over there all the time.
Parking lot be off of Lee Road? Would you enter?
Yeah.
That- I mean, it could be put anywhere, but that's where we assumed, yes.
Okay.
Okay, well, it does that.
That's a problem.
Like, it literally does.
it literally does what?
It will, based on the current problem we have there, having that space will create what you're kind of probing with.
Yeah, well, and beyond that.
People will drive in there.
Yeah, but beyond that, I think it's gonna be, just because of the experience we had with the road commission 3 years ago, when they limited the scope of the access for that entrance off of Lee Road, that it was bus traffic only. Otherwise, they wanted acceleration, deceleration lanes, they wanted to widen Lee Road. I mean, there's gonna be millions of dollars. So I question whether if that parking lot goes in, if the road commission is going to let that be opened up for traffic coming in and out beyond just bus traffic. That's a concern I have.
So the parking area was kind of at the north side of all the fields, so it wasn't really, it doesn't make a great drop-off for kids,
Right.
because they're going to have to walk, past everything else around the front of the building to get in, so.
But you probably haven't seen it. That's what's happening today.
Okay.
Parents are dropping off on Lee Road in that subdivision. It's chaos in the morning, especially when just before the time change and it's dark and kids are getting dropped off late in the winter and it's dark. I mean, I live there and it's literally chaos every morning of the people. And then when you pick up, there's people lined up in that whole subdivision to pick up, and it's just not safe. So my thing is, if we allow kids to be dropped off at the back of the school, we are creating unsafe spaces. I understand that there are other concerns. I just want to be on the record that I think we should address the safety issue and at least have some airport pull-off, something, so people can get off of Lee Road and not drop off.
What about fence the property? Put a fence along the property to prevent people from being able to walk in that.
I said, as long as we are allowing it, but I think we just agreed to a path that goes to and from, so.
Well, that's what I'm getting at, right? That's where this whole conversation is. We're putting in sidewalks and paths, and what you're describing is a very legitimate safety concern and issue.
I don't know that just my personal opinion, and I don't live over there, so I don't see it, but I don't know that putting a parking lot in is going to solve it, because I think the problem is they don't want to park. So, because you could park in the front of the building, there's lots and lots of spots in the front of Scranton, right? And so people don't want to park because they don't want to pull in and park. I think they want to drop off and go. So maybe we need to look at it from a different aspect to solve the safety issues. I'm not arguing with you at all. I don't like the idea of kids especially crossing in the dark with cars going each way. I just don't believe that if we put a parking lot there, it's necessarily going to solve the issue. I think about the high school and that the whole drive loop that has to happen and the amount of traffic direction that happens at that building for that reason, right? Because otherwise, every year, you know, parents are trying to drop kids off at spaces where they shouldn't be dropped off because they can't cross safely. So maybe there's another creative way to solve that problem without putting in a parking lot that may or may not change the pattern of behavior, I guess, is my opinion.
I mean, just personally, from the administrative side, I do look at the need for that Lee Road parking lot. I see it as connected. If you're moving a bunch of fields, you talk about it. But if you're not moving a bunch of fields over to Scranton, I don't know that we're gaining a lot from that. And there might be a better spot to spend, you know, $500,000, but that's a board decision. That's just, I'm just sharing that as
Yeah,
a
I mean, I just
perspective.
wanted to raise the fact that if the idea was that that parking lot was then going to be accessible with an open gate for parents and the community to come in and out, we're gonna have a problem with the road commission.
Correct.
And it's gonna cost a lot more than $500,000
Right, Roger.
to finance the improvements that the road commission is gonna require. I mean, at least based on their position 3 years ago. I mean, whether they've changed since then and have a different perspective, but
The changes that they agreed to was a right turn only exit on Brighton Road.
no,
I'm sorry.
we're at Scranton,
All right.
Ken.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
That's okay.
All right. Lot of moving parts.
so the orchestra space, the orchestra is an addition. It is an addition. It includes it includes storage. There's science room, casework that's on this as well. And then your student toilets, rooms being renovated. What questions do you have, other questions do you have on the Scranton site?
So in regard to student spaces, the FCS room, I would like to see added back in. I'm not a fan of relocating the athletic fields, so it's unfortunate that we don't have the information to make that decision tonight.
No.
And I understand we can't really do that, but that is one component I would like to see added back in. I think it's overdue by 30-some odd years, so.
I'm sorry, Katie, what do you want?
Family Consumer Sciences.
Oh, okay.
FCS room. It was about $300K.
I'm just jotting down some of the things that are suggestions for additions, and then maybe we get all the way through, and then maybe we can revisit those. Mr. Jones can pull up the tally of where you're at, and if there are things that you want to pull out, then the board you'll have to have consensus around moving stuff in or out, that kind of thing.
Just one other clarification for this. The orchestra space, that does include temperature-controlled storage?
Am I correct in that, Brendan?
Yeah.
That's included in that total amount there with the addition? Okay, thank you.
We ready to move over to the high school, Rook? Good. Okay. The high school list is quite a bit shorter than the previous bond. A lot of the athletics pieces are out on this one. It includes band room addition. The orchestra would move into the previous orchestra room. Am I correct on that, Mr. Pollard?
Correct.
Yep, so is there any renovation that's connected to the orchestra moving into the band room? I don't know that that's needed.
$8 for casework upgrades.
So then we have science room renovations, and some of us have been having some conversations about the science classrooms, and we've had some follow-up on way that we might be able to trim that number down. C8, which was the model, that was the $556,000 that was done as the model, that was a full gut renovation, and that's not necessarily needed for all of the different sections of it. We talked about, I think at the academic committee as well, that in our follow-up, we talked about science classrooms, chemistry classrooms not needing the full gut, partial gut. So we thought we were able to reduce this significantly, and I think that one of the classrooms is not being used at this time. So instead of spending a lot of money on a classroom that's not being used, to focus on the 10 classrooms that are being used. And the suggestion was to perhaps earmark $500,000 for the classrooms and live within that. that would give you about $3 million to spend elsewhere. So that was a suggestion. That might be something you want to consider.
So I was a huge advocate for a long period of time with the board to support getting the best possible classrooms, like science classrooms specifically, in the Brighton area schools that we possibly could get. And was very supportive of the effort to renovate the classroom that we've been discussing. I think since then, similar to the passion I had for the bridge program, right? Having seen now the district do a good job of implementing the change, have a world-class classroom that a lot of time, effort, and energy was put into creating like a world-class science room, and then to see it not be fully utilized is just demoralizing. Right? And I just, to me, one thing about education, and I'm not a teacher, but we have a teacher in our midst. Teachers become really good teachers when they figure out like the style and the approach and the way that they connect with kids in their own unique way. I don't know that any single teacher is the same, right? Every teacher has their own unique way of teaching, connecting with kids, helping them learn in any of the different subjects that you encounter in school. With that being said, I think it's hard to deliver a classroom, world-class classroom, that's in some instances decades different than what Andy may have been teaching his chemistry class with. And then you walk him into this brand new classroom and it's hard to adjust and to change a curriculum, etc. Like this is a huge line item. You know, how confident are we, based on what we've seen with the existing room we've renovated, that if we spend this money, assuming that a bond is supported by the community, that it actually is money that is well spent and being used in the way that it's intended to be used?
I think it's an important question, and I've had this conversation with just about every single person at the table, shares your exact sentiment. It's the same sentiment we have from the administrative perspective.
Can I add something on that? I think
Yep,
one of the
okay.
things that happened, and I absolutely agree with what you're saying, Andy, is we talked about, I think the room was trying to be a room for everything. And I think we decided that, no, it makes more sense to have specific rooms. Biology is going to have different needs than what chemistry has. So I think we need to narrow down the rooms where the room that was renovated was supposed to do, would work for all sciences, which that doesn't make as much sense. You'd rather have a specific room. So with that idea that whatever we were paying per room, the cost for that room is going to be much higher than what we're going to have for the individual rooms. And what chemistry is going to be a cheaper room, I would think, and biology is going to be one of the more expensive.
So to the question of how confident are we? I'm going to tell you, I'm very confident. I'm looking across here at our new leader of teaching and learning. We talked about science earlier today. We talked about our gaps. I don't know if you have any comments on this.
I've experienced science renovations at a high school recently with a big bond similar to this size, and they're complex spaces. To your point, by content area and by the curriculum, you do have to differentiate because the infrastructure needs are very different. I did get a chance with Mr. Evans to walk that actual lab the other day, and it's flexible, almost like a project-based learning zone room rather than a focused curricula. So my recommendation would be working really closely, going slow, really slow to understand the needs via the high school administration, department leaders, and science teachers to design those spaces uniquely to the curriculum while getting some flexibility for some future tense by each subject area.
It's on us is what we're saying.
Yeah.
It's on us to follow through and make it happen. And I think that we're committed to that.
How much, I can't tell you how many things I've built, and the people that are gonna use it have never been asked, what do you want? I don't know, I wasn't part of that science lab.
Yeah, I'm with you. I second your opinion.
Did we?
We've talked extensively. Science teachers have done a wonderful job.
Did we properly ask the people that are gonna use it?
Yes, extensively.
Teachers have talked to people across the country. They've gone to different sites. I'll call out specifically Elizabeth Crane and Phil Lundy have really done a lot of work. They've done a ton of research. They've advised us. They've met with board members all before that C8 and since. They picked furniture. They experimented with different things. So teachers have had a big voice in this one.
But then how did we get to the point where it wasn't really what they wanted?
Well, no, I think, well, I think that the initial vision was that people were going to have a chance to experiment with it, that they would have a chance to sign it out and whatnot. As a former teacher, people a lot of times like to be in their own space. So this idea that everybody's going to just pop into the space, somebody's going to be assigned to that classroom next year, and it's going to be fully utilized every single day. And so that is going to happen. And the idea is that everybody's individual classrooms are going to be theirs. So,
Like one of the big expenditure line items I remember from when we went through this was the downdraft booth. And if I remember right, it was over $100,000, wasn't it, Dave? It was one of the largest single
It was
purchases. in the
expensive. I don't remember the
project.
amount, but I remember it was expensive.
Then
And a long
we
lead time.
discovered that it was like the best possible downdraft booth you could buy, and we weren't even using it, which was just like,
So I would be in favor of reducing that amount and allocating the dollars, as we said, and going slow, to your point, and really having some time to investigate what that looks like for the different rooms and consultation with administration at the high school and the teachers, and thinking through, like, not just what are we teaching them now, but what do we want chemistry to look like in 3 years, or biology to look like in 4 years, and trying to make those investments work so that we aren't revisiting this in another 5 years, whoever's on the board, having this exact same discussion about rooms that we spent money on. So I like the idea of allocating dollars. I feel very strongly that we need to do that, but I don't know that it needs to be that high.
I'd recommend 5 million and stop at that. That's a good investment, but that gives us what we need. And it allows you to have 3 million to be able to perhaps address some other projects that aren't currently on this list.
I echo Mrs. March's sentiments regarding the science classroom, but I'd also like to say, Mr. Satterfield, we've been waiting for you. So we're excited to get going on exactly that. So, yeah.
Would you like Mr. Jones to reduce that? He can do that because then it will populate into your total number. I don't know if you feel comfortable doing that.
Support Mesa. 5 million, or
For the whole, for that
the
whole.
5670 just becomes 5 million?
And make sure that the 8.
The line 13, that's currently 8.36, that being 5. In cell K,
So about 400
13K.
So about $4 million in direct cost.
Thank you, Andy. Look at that, you even had to reach, there was no way I was getting there.
So 500,000 for each room, for 8
I
rooms,
would have been
with
on your shoulders.
all the factors on top of it is 5.9 million. Yeah.
Okay. Are there any other questions? So at the high school, the bleachers, I know we talked about in the previous, that was one of the things, the replacement, and that is in the field house. Am I correct on that? That is the field house.
how does the pool, not to get too detailed here, but how does the pool scoreboard cost 80 grand? That's not even a fully, that's the trade cost. 80,000?
I know these are really expensive. I know.
I grew up in the middle of nowhere, but our high school just recently replaced their football scoreboard, brand new football scoreboard, $30,000.
I think, because I asked about this in the first place, I think it has some elements to do with timing
Yes, correct.
and how, like, when the swimmers hit the sides and things like that. Hey,
They are expensive.
I'm not necessarily in favor of it, but that's the answer I got.
They're very expensive.
There's a lot that goes into it. I mean, they have, you know, their little timers, there's 2 multiple components that go into it, there's a register on there, and they have a separate room, pads they gotta touch, translates into the timing room, and there's a lot of components to it.
I don't know where we stand today, but when we built that pool, we were sought after, that everybody wanted to use our pool for competition because of its accuracy. It was within like 0.00001 second difference. And, we had a lot of schools trying to use the pool, and I think we still, I mean, it's kind of still the crown jewel. I think it's in the top top 2, 3 anyways in the nation right now as far as accuracy. And the guy that built it died. He was an old Italian guy. I had privilege of doing one other job with him, and that was it. So they're never gonna be that good anymore, so that's what I'm saying.
There's something that, I'm going to ask Ms. Tierney to maybe talk about that air handler, and Mr. Stahl from the last, can talk about that with the, from the gymnasiums?
So, we had Plant and Moran come out, they did every district in the state of Michigan, and they looked at thank you. They looked at every district in the state of Michigan, Plant and Moran did, and came up with a facilities assessment, basically what we needed to fix. And at the high school, I counted, I don't know, Mr. Stahl, if you looked at that, the same number, but 19 air handling units that were critical or near end of life. And they were above the field house, correct? And so I want to make sure that we get that in there because I think that that's something we will need. And then simultaneously, DX coils can be placed into those.
That's your gym air conditioning.
For the gym.
That would be.
So it might be worthwhile looking into while we're replacing that, making sure that the air handling units that we get can support that if we do that in the future, or if it makes sense to do it while we do that, like if it's, cost effective. But I wanted to point out something too. When I was looking at this, the critical or near-term repair costs to our district and long-term would be approximately $147 million from Plant Moran that we have over the next 1 to 9 years. So we're obviously.
I agree and I disagree because some of that stuff, a lot of it had to do with generators at every building. Those kind of things were part of that safety. So I don't know if you took those out.
No, I know what you're talking about, and there's miscellaneous other things.
Yeah.
My point is that Plant Moran came to our district and said, these are the things that you're gonna have to do within the next 10 years. That's a lot of money. We don't have to do all of them, obviously, but I wanna make sure that we get as many of those off the list as possible, so that, we're sitting in a good spot.
So I have the list from Plant Moran that the administration circulated on February 19th of 25, so over a year ago. Generators.
There's that high school chiller.
Yeah.
Was that air handler on that?
High school units are old, that's on there.
Because that's what Mr. Jacobs told us at the last meeting, that he said that those will have to be replaced. And that was, we thought that was an option, and
14 chillers we just purchased from Drain.
This is different from the rooftop units.
This is different, okay?
yeah, this is
the air handling
at the
units.
gymnasium area.
2, 3, 5 buildings to be supplied with generators. And I can tell you right now, those are
Right, we
$1 million
took
bucks
those
each,
off.
I bet. Yeah.
No, they weren't that much, it depends on the building.
But the air handlers
But the air
moved up the list at that last facility committee meeting as a concern area for Mr. Jacobs. And Mr. Jones, is that accurate?
Not only that, how with minimal investment, we could make a serious upgrade in them.
Right.
So like now is the time to move on that. Yes.
Yeah, and then I had asked Mr. Raines on that, of that air handler cost that was in the previous, do you have any estimate of how much of that was DX coils and how much was it the absolutely essential, was it just a little upgrade to do the air conditioning?
I don't have it broken out that way.
I was
At this
assuming
time,
that
we would have
number
to-
was all air conditioning.
Yeah, no, the number we have was to replace the units and add air conditioning to the units
And-
that are going back. So I don't have it broken out to what it would be to just replace the unit. I'd have to reach out to Train or other equipment supplier to get
But
a
from
budget.
your experience, would you say that it's more air handler cost or more DX coil cost?
Definitely more air handler cost.
Okay, so whatever that was important, like when we were talking there, we were thinking that probably should get back on the list. And,
Yeah, to change the equipment type isn't going to be a huge, one of the bigger costs is actually going to be to revise your power and bring more power to that unit, because it's going to use a lot more power than if it didn't have the condensing units in it, so.
I
that
got
might
a
be one
random,
to come back to.
a random question for you regarding some of these replacement components. Do they have technology linked to them where we can put it into a system and have access to it? So if somebody says, hey, I have an issue in my classroom, our director of operations can remotely log in and see what that issue is and then deal
So
with it?
That's kind of part of any new system we put in, is typically going to have a building management system that documents all those things, graphics, that the maintenance staff can utilize to help monitor the buildings, yeah. They
So
get
is that
alarms
just
and
like an
things, just
app
depending.
Then that we would get and we can put all that in, or?
It's
what is-
part of I don't know what the existing softwares or
have
systems the
Johnson
school
controls?
has. I'd have to talk through that with
I think
Scott
we
to
have
see if it,
Johnson throughout.
yeah.
Pretty sure.
Yeah.
I figured that.
It'll show status
So-
of pumps and fans and all those things, what temperature, incoming, outgoing temperatures are, things like that. Those are all things that can be monitored.
Scott can log into his laptop and see
Yeah.
what the problem is, and it'll, like the swimming pool alerts him if the water temperature isn't right. All those things are connected to the Johnson control system.
I think when you come back, I think that's one that you might want to add. And I think, if I'm correct, that would be Scranton Gymnasium and then the field house? Or is it? For the DX coils, and then the air handling units was, I think maybe the auxiliary gym as well?
I don't know, what do those handlers, they're all in the one room, or we'd have to take out, or we'd have to open up a wall to get in and out of that, isn't that correct?
You already have them priced out from the initial list.
For the-
There's-
yeah.
In red, they were.
Yeah, we took some things out, yeah, from some of the buildings, correct.
Is there any other, oh, sorry, Alicia.
Made mention earlier about, I think, some elevator upgrades that were moved out of this and somewhere else. Can you tell me what elevator stuff was moved out of here and what is still here? And where it was moved to?
I think it was all moved out, and it's all moved to capital improvement.
Yes,
Yeah.
all the elevator upgrades that were in the project list were moved to the capital projects fund.
And how, do we know how much?
I think there are 4 elevators, am I correct on that? There was, yeah.
No, I can tell you.
It's not the kind of,
There's an email that was circulated that kind of, and I can maybe share, I even have it here with me.
you don't really wanna, I mean, these recommendations are.
One-
they're elevators. You don't wanna
1.36
mess up.
million.
Yeah.
363.
So my question is then we're looking, it's moved to the capital improvement, we're looking at paying for it out of general fund then,
Capital improvement. Yep.
which could be used for general fund, but, I mean, there's no restriction on what we use it for.
We'd have to all agree to change that, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
theoretically.
Well, it's something that has to be done.
Yeah, look, we don't mess around with
We'll
elevators.
shut the elevator
But
down.
if we left, I'm just using that one as an example, there are other things here. If we left it in the bond, it would free up general fund to do some things like helping get our teachers trained in literacy and things that I've been wanting to do. If we put those funds in the bond and use, then it would free up GF.
It's true for anything. I think the situation with the elevators is it's extremely, extremely urgent. So if it's not addressed, the state will come in and just literally shut the
Yep.
elevator
I
off.
don't think you're saying don't address it, you're just saying flip-flop the funds to, yeah.
I'm just saying, if we are concerned about literacy funds, that we did not budget some for it, there are ways we can free up GF, and that's putting more into the bond and reducing things like scoreboards.
We can fund literacy right now tonight with the 4-person majority. Tonight.
Proposal, I think
Yeah,
it's,
let's
maybe
not
stay on
get-
this.
We need to hone in, let's
Yeah.
stay focused on.
If you want to fund literacy, we
But
can do that.
I think
I
the
think
point's
we-
taken, there's always, I think.
We can't fund literacy in the
Sure
bond.
that there are some things,
Agreed.
Yeah. Is there any other, oh, I'm so sorry.
I was just gonna say, I don't wanna fund scoreboards if we also can't fund some of these things that teachers need, that we need to support our teachers in getting trained in the new literacy. So that's my point.
The one thing,
Was that high school?
I'd like to look at adding the female locker room at the stadium, the concessions building. We're still missing the female locker room there.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but weren't we talking about, there's a whole bunch of bathrooms over there, or locker rooms that we were going to do something about for this, right?
This is at the main stadium, adding in a women's locker room to the main
Was that,
stadium at the
was
high
that
school.
using the old, were we gonna remodel the old building next to the
The
concessions?
proposal was to
Yeah,
remodel,
okay. Yeah,
or
no, I remember.
potentially put it where the
In the corner.
storage
In the
barn
corner.
is, and then you know, so there's a couple different options, I think, depending on what it wants, but it was at the main stadium high school. Originally, we had talked about adding them into Scranton as well, but that's not on this proposal.
Loaded cost on that one?
700?
Is that
700,000?
site work too?
No, that was just a renovation cost, because we were renovating the old concession building that's currently used for storage.
I don't know if there is any.
700,000 to renovate that existing structure.
Any other questions or anything? And I thought then we could just go back through it and you could advocate for adding stuff in. And then Dave could just keep adding it in the tally whenever we have consensus around any additions or subtractions until we get to the number.
One more I forgot at Horning.
Oh, I was still going to
Oh,
keep
sorry.
going here.
Yeah, there's
Sorry,
still
sorry.
more.
Okay.
I'm just at high school. Okay, let's skip on to the next one here, is BCPA. BCPA, the only thing on the BCPA list is the orchestra shell. And so that's, Dave, you have that?
I just want to clarify this. It's saying 468 for trade costs. This is potentially an item that perhaps, even though we can fund it with the bond, we could have it, like, have an RFP and have somebody else do it for potentially cheaper? Or no?
Sure. On every one of these projects, you go through an
Okay.
RFP, there's an estimate that a women's locker room is going to cost $700,000 to renovate. We get 3 bids, and maybe it's $500,000.
Yep.
And another one, we're going to project $700, and it's going to be $900. Is that how it always ends up working? And these are all estimates based on industry.
Yeah, we don't have drawings yet. So as we get through these processes, we're going to go through and button up our estimates and fine tune them into what project you guys actually decide to put out to bid, and it would go out to bid, and we'll get multiple bidders for each category on each project, so.
Actually, this is exactly why, I mean, we've talked about this somewhere in the past. This is why you do not put out a very detailed list with every little cost, because that number is not exact. There's just no way for that to happen. It's got a lot of design and development, it's got to go through fine tuning.
Yep.
You know, a lot of times, I know that your company has someone that actually goes through it after all that's done and goes, okay, what about right now's cost? Is it still the same? Maybe it got cheaper, not usually. But, you know, all those things have to go in. What does it cost to do it today? And that's the number.
Yep.
Because that changes on a daily basis. You know, a ship can't get through Hormuz, and all of a sudden, some of the materials are more expensive than what they were going to be. And that's literally daily. That can happen within a couple hours of doing it. So they have to, yeah, those numbers will change to the good or to the bad almost on a daily basis based on anything that's going on in the nation. So.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, I would like to add in, I'd like to put back in the theater seat replacement.
Agree.
Um,
We're 50% of
'cause
the way there, right?
There's 161,000, what's the number that? Yeah. 140?
Close.
Yeah, and, yeah, and it's, the estimate's 387, 385, something like that.
373, 650.
What does the board think about that?
I-
Is there any objection to that? We have consensus, so if we could do that.
The other thing I think that needs work there, just from being there, is the sound system. And I know that's not a big cost. It's only 77,000, and that might be one, but I think that that's something that could be looked at. I have a question.
Sound system, is that what you said?
Yes, sound system. I have a question. This elevator code did not need updated?
That's one of the.
It's in there. It's in the capital improvement fund. It's in that 1.36.
Okay,
If,
it was
if there's,
for a different
if there's space in this, I would like to just advocate for those dressing rooms and the makeup room and all that stuff that we walk through. Those need work. And like, it would be fantastic if we could address some of those things. I really think those dressing rooms need investment. However we do it, I think they need investment. So if
I
that
just
can be on the
wanted-
list as well.
To make a comment too regarding the theater seats for anybody watching. I know some people will say, they're so comfortable. They are very comfortable. That's not the issue. The issue is we cannot get parts to replace those seats anymore. They have, the bolts have cracked, the plastic molding, and they're loose. And so if we could have the parts to fix them, we would, because they are very comfortable seats, but that's why they need to be replaced.
Just quickly, the last ones here, the back is basically nothing, just the lockout system, and just the back had a lot of HVAC work and things that were done recently. Miller's had a lot of work that was done out of the capital improvement fund, so that's just the lockout system. And then transportation is addressing the parking lot. Part of the parking lot needs to be milled and capped, and so that's the only thing there. So any questions on those last three buckets? I think most of it's in the schools of the investments. So Roger, if it's okay, do you want to go now back? Do you want to go school by school for additions or delete? Do you want to like do it and like make decisions school by school?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the way we should proceed, but I mean, unfortunately, there's a couple things there's some contingency there with regard to what's gonna happen with the multi-horning reconfiguration, if that's realistic. If it is, how does that impact, the parking lot, field relocation? So, I mean, I don't know, from my perspective, I don't think we're gonna be able to make a decision about that tonight.
Can I make a recommendation on that? So let's say you're at 90,270,000 and it includes multi-horning. Then I would have a list of things that if that multi-project falls through, these are the next projects that we would go with. This is the first one out, second one out, third one out. Maybe you could do that. Maybe that's a way that you can get some consensus, just because we're not going to have a lot of time if you want to go out in November.
It's not necessarily all or nothing though, right? Because we could get an estimate back saying, okay, you can do this and it's going to cost 50% of what we have for estimate for, right? That we feel like is worth the investment or not. I mean, I don't mind, I'm willing to do whatever everyone else wants to do, but I do think it's a little.
Or earmark a certain dollar and say we're willing to do up to this.
Well,
and then-
but I think the concern is, and it's a follow-up to Ms. Mark's point, is, like, if we get an estimate and they say it's whatever it is, pick a number, 5 million, 6 million, but the traffic engineers say, this is gonna provide some relief, but you're still gonna have a significant amount of traffic that's gonna be bottlenecked out on the roads, right? Then it's like, okay, well, we got an estimate that comes within the parameters of what was preliminarily, but do we really want to spend that money if it's not gonna make a tangible impact? And then also impact relocating fields
All
and.
the other line items that we
Exactly,
talked
right? I mean, I think that's the million-dollar question is there going to be tangible relief and a significant increase in the safety of the roads themselves, the internal circulation on the campus? Because that's part of the equation, not just the cost from,
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So,
So maybe come back, like, so what do you want to do on the multi-horning, since that's the giant elephant in the room? I mean, project could be set aside, you could set aside certain
I
number of
think we need to
dollars.
wait to ultimately see what.
yeah, I think, depending
Worst
on
thing
what
we
you
can
get.
do is like push through and then.
Right. I think we should have frankly, I think we should have a special meeting. That's what I'm gonna advocate for, once we get the information. And we can still talk about these projects that, that have been requested to be potentially added, get those numbers in, and then at that point, I think we will have it'll be really just that project being the linchpin of where we end up landing, depending on what the traffic engineers say.
Where are we at?
I have one more to add too.
Where are we at with the number right now? As we decide, I think we are all in agreement that we're not gonna raise the taxes. This is your number. What is the end of that number?
85.4.
And how high can you go without changing that?
Well,
Without changing the taxes?
90,275,000.
But this includes all your multi-costs.
Yeah, this includes multi, but this is
But it doesn't include everything.
But if,
This doesn't include what we just added, though.
Right, the
does it?
FCF room,
Yeah.
FCS rooms, like the other things we've talked about.
We go through and add all those things?
Yeah, I think we
and
should,
then-
if, or
then
at
see
least
where
figure
we're
out if everyone is, or,
Is it okay just
it's
going
mature.
school by school?
yeah.
Okay, we can do it by school, sure, that's fine.
Anything else at Hawkins? I think Hawkins is in great shape. How about Hilton? Okay, Katie's got something for Horning.
Okay, so warning,
Porches.
enclose the covered porches there.
When you do that for Dave, it's.
A4.
Cover-
part of that estimate was if we're doing the vestibule, correct?
Vestibule's separate.
That's separate.
The porches
Is
is
it separate,
the.
but closing off the porches would be part of that if we did it. That could eliminates two.
Yeah, but it's.
Pulling an office forward and you're putting
No,
a
that,
roof over it.
There's 8
that's
separate.
at Spencer, where we had the addition was not.
This is Horning.
About putting in
So-
those storefront, the windows, it was a very easy solution. The storefront, what did you call that?
It was an easy solution, but it's,
It has-
I guess the problem with it is it kind of contradicts the security part of it. If we're just putting cheap storefront there,
I didn't think it was cheap.
No.
well, nothing's cheap, but if we're not putting bulletproof glass there,
Well, yeah, it should
then we're
be
just creating another
correct.
place, right?
Yeah.
But I know at the front of the building, we were gonna be enclosing at least one of those corridors, but it needs fresh air has to go in that. Was that a crazy cost?
Outside air, yeah.
Because we're capping that thing, right?
But I think it was
So-
already
Close off
accounted
outside
for
area.
in
That
this.
eliminates that one, and there are how many more in that building? I know there's,
There was 8 that they were
8
supposed to
total?
enclose, I believe.
So
if I remember.
910,206 is what was in that. John, am I correct on that? There was no escalation on that one.
now let me ask you this, I don't remember, there was a bunch of different ways we looked at it, and I've got my mic on, people. We looked at it as adding a door to the back of to the rear room, because they still need an exit? Because you can't just have,
No, so when they are using that door that goes directly outside to access their back door, because what's happening is it's different than at Spencer. Spencer, they have it set up where the classroom door is on the back side and they just walk straight through the back. At Horning, it's through the instructional. The
Right.
door is so they walk through and snake through. So the idea is to close off that back, the
The side.
back side, yeah.
do we have any fire code or, since we're touching it, do we have to make it so
No,
that
because
they're
it's
not?
already enclosed, so the square footage was already there.
Right,
The
you're
porch
not,
was
you
already
don't have
there.
to separate it because there's already an overhang. It's
Yes.
built construction as part of the original building.
Dave, that was 910,206, and then the site work was 38,954.
Is that the final, the fully loaded cost?
This is, yeah,
So,
there is no escalation on it.
Yep.
that
We
again,
definitely need to.
910,206,
okay?
and then the site work, 38,954.
I don't remember, was there a way to make it so that they all worked? So that literally separated everybody?
So that,
It's a
what do you mean
straight
all
shot.
work?
You no longer have to walk through the classroom to get to the other one ever.
Yes.
And was that partition wall just going to remain and it would just be closed? Or were we putting a wall there? I've done a few of these now in the past, so I'm just trying to figure out which ones we
No,
were doing.
it was just enclosing that so you could get to the coat room behind,
From the corridor, yeah.
from the corridor.
So you're really just, you're actually just creating another corridor at each spot.
Yeah.
And did that work with all of them? There was something about the back ones were different or something. Don't remember. Because the one that's extremely unique is the one that's wide open right now at the front door. That's gonna be
Right.
enclosed. Office is gonna be in front of it, so that one goes away. Really, their
No,
their entrance
the
could be
addition
right off
goes
of that.
over to the
Sorry.
left of that, so that, where the current entry point is,
Right.
where there's the first porch,
Yes.
that's still gonna be there.
But
The
will it be
entrance
enclosed?
won't be the entrance, because we're gonna add a corridor over here and a new office out there toward the parking lot. Does that make sense?
So we'd still enclose it because they would just walk out into that area that would be new classrooms in the center if we don't enclose it and make it a course.
They just have to do like they're doing now and walk through the adjacent classroom.
So just based on safety, security being like at the top of the list of items that we receive feedback from the community on, I mean, it just seems that we would be well served in the spirit of being able to go back to the public to take more time to align as a team on these items. I feel that way. I'm just kind of sharing my thoughts openly with the broader board, but it just seems that we would collectively as a board be well served to take the time that we need to take outside of the meeting tonight to kind of give Dave the time that he needs to refresh the list, come back with a consolidated list, review it together. Anything that we want, like sketches or, you know, representations that we can, I'm sure, get from the architect.
I've been through this list 100 times.
you
I
have.
feel like I'm,
Yeah, you have.
I think, right, but I think, you know, just to jog
There's
everybody's
still a lot of
memory.
unknowns, right?
Well, I mean,
I think so.
I think we're gonna have to come back anyway because of the issue with regard to Malby and Horning. So I don't have a problem if there's a couple of items that we need to get some further clarification on that we hopefully we'll only have about 5 or 6 items that we're gonna have to talk about to, you know, to finish, at a special meeting.
I will say that as far as your enclosed porches, that was already vetted in the last time you went through the bond. You already went through it, you already walked it, the architects did all of the work on it. 910 is what it would have cost to do those things, 38,000 for your site work with it, and that took care of that entire building.
Yep.
And that was considered to be a safety piece.
Yes.
So it's already been done, these guys have already done the legwork on it. I think there are other ones you want to definitely talk about, but I think that one's been done. I don't think there's anything else to bring you on that, unless we're just revisiting what we already decided, what the board already decided in the spring.
So is there bulletproof glass at the front of Hornet?
No,
I'm dead serious.
no, it isn't.
Agreed.
No, right now it's open and it's a
Right.
wall.
Right, right.
And, but I was just trying to refresh my memory. I do this for a living. I've been on 15 different buildings. I can't remember how it was done. So I'll figure that out after this meeting, and that's fine with me. Okay.
All right.
Can I ask, just, when you're talking about coming back for another meeting, like, are you
Next week?
doing this before the August 10th vote, or?
Because the August 10th vote is when basically the finished product is done.
I'm just trying
Yeah.
to figure out what your thought process
Yeah,
was.
so
It's
we
still
would-
on the August 10th track.
Yes. So we would need to come back like,
I'm out of town next week, so I know that. I would like to go through the ones we've already talked about. Can we put those in, see what the cost will be, and then that'll give us an idea of what we've already talked about tonight.
okay. All right, so then what's next?
So, so that was it for the elementary schools, and then we go to Maltby. We had renovating 10 classrooms, casework at Maltby, like 1.8 million. Is that one that the board wishes Dave to add? So I can give him the full number if it is.
What is it?
1,888,504. That's the full number. There is no escalation. Do you want to just add it and make it come back out?
Yep.
It's just, how about we just add all the different stuff that we've talked
And
about?
see where we are.
Unless there's heartburn about any of these things? Because on this one, I have casework, orchestra storage, and skylights. You want
Is
to,
the storage orchestra and band, or just orchestra? Are they both going in?
orchestra, just orchestra.
Orchestra only?
Yep. So do you need the number again, Dave, or do you have it?
I mean, not to, I don't want to turn this into a huge issue, but why orchestra and not band? Because orchestra is mostly wood instruments and the band storage is fine. They don't really need instrument storage. Are they storing correct? I mean, do they have enough room there, whether it's temperature controlled or not? I guess that's my
I'm
question.
not 100% sure, but I know that it was dealing with the temperature-controlled storage for
Specific
that.
to orchestra.
Specific to orchestra.
So band has sufficient storage, is what we are assuming right now?
That nothing was brought up as a concern
Okay.
for band storage.
Thank you.
Got it.
This is at Mall P that
Okay,
we're
space
adding?
for it. There's going to be 2 more lines, Dave.
Okay,
Next one is orchestra storage, temperature control.
okay. How much is that?
110,007, no escalation.
Okay.
At 110,007. All right, and then the last one is the skylights in the common area.
What's that amount?
Guys, you can grab a seat if you need to take a break, because you're gonna stand up a
This-
long time.
So the item that was on that list previously was stick-built skylights, so those were a more expensive option than if we're looking at doing the sonotubes or, not sonotube.
Solitube.
Solitube,
It's like a sonotube, only
right,
not cardboard.
reflective lined.
Tim, when you're ready, Dave.
Katie gave it to me, thank you.
Oh, you already got it?
Yes.
Love it, thank you.
Okay,
You ready?
what's next?
Next up is to Scranton, Family Consumer Science Room. And that, I mean, you'll get from over there, but 301, 105.
Are we also removing 11, 12, 13 from this?
I think it was pending the traffic study.
Was there site work for the,
Consumer Science, no, because it would be a renovation.
Okay.
And then the help on this one would be item 51 here, which was the air handler DX coils. Guys, is the line, or is the 525, 727 a full, is that the full thing?
Believe so.
Are there any other lines that are part of that?
No, that's the only one for the cooling.
So it's the air handler DX coils.
at Scranton or the high school?
This is still Scranton.
Okay.
You've got the list over there for the number, and I'll just, it's 525, 727. Any others that I'm missing? Scranton? This correct? Got it? high school.
Are we putting in the locker room? Because I have those
At the high school?
at the high school.
Yeah, that's, I think, female locker room. I gotta just find the line item. John, do you see it?
Item 52, A26.
52. There's no, because it's a renovation. Okay.
I'd like to mention something about the high school. I talked with lots of people about this. I'm not really clear on how many other people on the board support this, but I think the main stadium sound system needs to be replaced. It's long overdue. I've spent a lot of time in that press box in the spring, and I am frequently holding my phone up to the microphone to play music. In addition, I would love to see a digital scoreboard there and move the scoreboard to the backfield so that the many teams we have that play in our back practice field have a scoreboard instead of just flip cards. We've really grown our athletic programs in the district, which I think is fantastic, but between all of our youth teams, our high school teams, our middle school teams, those fields are in constant use, and it really does make a difference if there's a scoreboard on your field. So those are two things that I would like to explore adding back in the renovation of the sound system, not just for the athletes, but also for the band that performs there, for our POM teams, our cheerleaders, everyone, and then a digital scoreboard so we can showcase orchestra, choir, all the great things we have going on. They can sing the national anthem in front of our games, and we can highlight all of the programs that we have in the district. So that's my pitch.
Was it on here
original,
before?
but it got pulled off.
It was on the list.
You need to
Do we have
research
the
it a
number?
little more. I don't know if you're completely.
Gave us quotes for that, so I had
Okay.
some that I put in,
Yeah, but it's not
but it's not on this one.
No, it was not included in the updated.
in the previous.
So could I just toss in,
Locker room in here?
I added in the female locker room. I have not put in the pricing yet for the BCPA seat replacement or sound system, and we just surpassed the 90,275,000.
Just get it-
Should
get
I
it in
just
there.
get everything in
Get
and
it
then
in
we'll work
there.
from there?
Especially when you're thinking about multi-horning.
Yep.
I think that.
Just
I
wanted to
mean,
make sure.
That's a big number.
Well, and for purposes of the seats in the BCPA, the original quote was for 373. We know we've got 100 and,
Yeah.
40.
so we can plug in two, whatever the math
Yeah.
is, 230. Yeah.
The other thing too, I think the scoreboard, like, there's ways for us to achieve providing a score to the audience that attends those events without spending, what did John present for the high school? Was it like $280,000 for it? Like, we don't need that. Like, what is the bare bones scoreboard we can provide to achieve a standard that we feel best represents this community and not, again, be punch drunk here buying a scoreboard we don't really truly need.
I agree. I think we can do some investigation into what is a reasonable amount of money to spend and still satisfy the,
I mean, it's to go there and watch like lacrosse games and some poor volunteer is literally 100 yards away with the field plus you're in the bleachers and they're on the other sideline and they're flipping a piece of paper that's big. Like,
in the wind and the rain
in the
and.
wind, no one can see it, like, why do they do that? So it's,
Can I-
Placement is 373.
Right, but I backed out to 144
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
on the sound system.
Which sound system?
For the BCPA, one of the suggestions was replace sound system.
But are we,
77,909.
so are we discussing it or are we just adding it?
that was my comment earlier, like, it was just, we're just like, add this, and.
Yeah, I think we should have some more discussion on some of it before we add it, but.
We're looking for the final.
I think you're just getting it on the list, and then you could take it off.
Like at the end, I thought we were going back to what we've already discussed, and Dr. Outlaw was working with Dave to quantify those items.
Correct.
And now we're kind of going down the wish list of things and adding them back, like, I misinterpreted what your guidance was a minute ago, because I thought we've already like discussed everything.
Yeah, well, these were the things we discussed, but they
Yeah,
never were
they're
added to the
all ones I
sheet.
wrote down. We're just getting the numbers on there so that you can know what does it actually cost.
Just to use an example, I'm in agreement that there's a need for a scoreboard at Stratton.
Yeah.
It's a huge need, and I've talked about it many, many nights before tonight. I don't remember discussing that this evening, so if we did, I missed it.
Oh, we didn't put it on there because it's not even from here. But yeah, I was just wondering, when we went through each one of them, I wrote notes down of ones that seemed like it had consensus.
Yeah.
Like the air handler, DX coils. So,
I think we're going up and
We're gonna have to,
we're
yeah,
coming
pare it back.
Yeah.
And I think at DCPA, we did say something about the dressing rooms and a couple more things.
Yeah, we did.
So
As our wish list.
if I'm going to add wish list items then, all of the scoreboards in our district were done with the 2012 bond, the same as the football field. I want to add all of them. If we need to replace the football field, we should replace all of them.
if I could just throw one thing out, just a word of caution, like we received feedback from the public about safety, academic spaces, and replacement infrastructure. I'd just be careful about deviating too much from what the public told us, because I think we get right back to where we were in May. So just throwing that out as just a word of caution.
I agree with you, but we won't, because we have a limit, right? So we're going to have to hit that target. This is a little bit different. I feel like the exercise, so I hear what we're saying, but really what we're talking about is potentially this, ambiguous, maybe $15, $17 million that's floating around based on that traffic study. And then if we're willing to pull other things out in place of some of these items, that's not the impression that I got when we first were discussing it. I think that we're looking at this as if we have an extra $8 million because we're not going in that direction, where do those dollars go? Because we did have a long list of things. I know Andy's like wincing when I'm saying that, but I do think that we have more projects that were on our list that fall into those buckets. So, and at some point, almost everything can be argued to be one or the other, depending on your perspective.
I think everyone knows kind of where I fall with regards to this particular proposal, but I think there would be really, really meaningful value for us as a board to go to the community, but like to demonstrate with authenticity that we put a lot of thought into trying to reduce and minimize the spend, and go to the community and say, there is the $90 million threshold we keep talking about, but after debate, discussion, conversation, in our workshop, we arrived at a number that was $78,795, 78 million, right, $795. Try it again, $78,795,000 is what I was trying to say there. Versus getting to that $80,000 or $80 million mark, and then now saying, well, let's come up with a bunch of pet projects to get it up to, back to that $90 million mark. I think that the public would respond well to us. Again, these meetings are all taped and public. Go up to them and say, we really did sharpen our pencil, put a lot of thought into trying to take all the proverbial fat out of this and come to them with those critical items. I think there'd be a ton of merit in that.
I agree.
So there are some that are in the need category that I'm not sure. Did the air handlers from the high school with the DX coils, did those make it on this list? Because that's in the need category. That was at the high school. You did the Scranton one.
We did the Scranton one, not the high school ones.
Can we add those in?
Yeah,
'Cause I think those are ones Scott Jacobs says we have no choice. And then the DX coils, that would be the only part that would be debated, whether you want to add the cooling with it. But you're going to do the air handler minimal.
Do we have a ticket price on the?
John, can you help us find that? I had it. guys.
You're looking for the cooling for the main gym and the aux gym?
The main gym, the air handler, yeah, the air handler replacement,
Yeah, so that's scope item 61, M2.
61.
And it's 1.160775.
Ken and Katie, was it both? The main, was it the field house and the auxiliary gym for those air handlers?
Honestly, I think there's 19 of them. I don't remember. I remember walking out with Scott into that space and showing me everything. I just don't know if it was, I think it's both.
Okay.
I can't say it's certain.
Dave, do you have the numbers?
Your female locker room number is not correct either.
Yeah, that's,
The site work, not the,
Okay.
you don't have the actual.
yeah, they're renovating that female locker room at the old concession building we had at 701-177. No,
No, there wasn't site work on that.
no, it was
Dave.
just
Oh, okay.
building renovation costs.
It does.
Yeah.
It was 701.
That's the final answer. You gotta go backwards to the trade cost that comes to that. Okay.
That's it for the high school, from the ones that you had. BCPA, what does the board feel about adding back the dressing rooms, 116, 863?
Yeah, I
They
agree.
look terrible.
Yeah.
At least on your menu, as you start to pare things down.
I mean, they don't look great, but like they do function, and if we're trying to pare everything down to necessity, I don't know that that rises to necessity.
Do we know what was the renovation, just a few more details on what that was going to include? Because part of what we heard when we toured it was the lack of airflow, and there really isn't, you know, it's a small space, and so they're not able to really function in there. And then when you get, 15 kids in there spraying hairspray all over the place.
Yeah, right.
And the lights don't all work.
Yeah, what's all included in it?
So, yeah, I'm just wondering, are we improving those pieces of it? It's
Yes.
not just a cosmetic update to like put new
Yeah,
mirrors
I
and
don't,
lights in,
I think we would
right?
have to address that. I think it addresses the
Ventilation.
ventilation as well as
Yeah, I don't-
some of the other.
But the vast majority of the actors don't use it. They're using that additional space. So are we only improving it for the handful of kids that can fit in there?
You mean the drama room?
Yeah. I mean, if you're looking at 100, I don't know, almost 100 kids for the musical, they're definitely not using that space. Right.
I'm just adding it, potentially for a menu for you all to choose from.
We've already, 150,000 square foot, interrupt the process here. We've kind of all beaten all these to death, I think. Yeah. I feel like, a lot of conversation about all these.
Okay. That's it? That's it? There was no other projects that were mentioned at all, so they're all on there. What do you got, Dave? 92 million? I think there's several things that you talked about for reduction, even without the multi, so I think you'll be able to get to that number
Yeah.
pretty easily. We just need that.
Yeah, I mean,
that
that's a
traffic
big
study.
piece, because I mean, that
It's
affects,
massive.
that's a $11 million issue. Right, with all the field prep relocation. So, I mean, assuming we are getting the information from Fishbeck
I'm gonna call them in the morning. They're 3 days late at this point. Or not, 4 days late, actually.
Dr. Krebs, you said you're going to be out of town next week?
I'm gonna be out of town next week, I'm be in Milwaukee.
You guys have any availability on Thursday night? Like this Thursday night?
I could make myself available for this.
We have to drag you in here.
I try my best to schedule around the date, and then, stuff happens, as I'm sure you all experience. But it's-
Thursday? Thursday, at, you want to say
Earlier is better if you can.
6? You guys do 6 on Thursday? Okay. So Thursday at 6, we'll have to obviously get it posted, yeah. And then we'll get an updated spreadsheet for everybody that's incorporating where we are now, and obviously, as soon as we get the information from Fishback,
Yeah.
we'll have to pivot, so.
And then, John and guys, as soon as I get it from Fishback, I'm gonna send it to these guys to do the full estimate and do a revise. Is that what you're looking at?
Yeah, if we can.
Yeah.
And, depending on what it shows, I don't know, that's really, I don't know how much we'll need, you guys Thursday night. Didn't even ask if you were available, but, you good?
I'm good.
Okay, can do Thursday.
Yeah, I don't know. We're
I-
looking at definitely.
Yeah, I don't know that we.
I don't know that these.
Yeah.
Right. I guess,
You guys
if
have
there's,
been super
if
helpful.
there's some
Chaz, you've
wrinkle,
been super helpful over there.
if there's some, yeah, unless there's some wrinkle relating to the cost estimate of the, the improvements for the, I don't think we, we
I
would.
think you have your numbers.
Yeah.
They've done this part. You have the
Yeah.
menu. And I will send the road study immediately, because I think you're exactly right. It's not just the pricing of it and what's moved, it's whether it's gonna deliver the results
Yeah.
that you
If it's
want.
worth the investment.
Exactly.
If it's worth the investment, exactly.
Absolutely, 100%.
So, and I'll get that to you ASAP. I'm gonna call them in the morning to see where they're at. It sounded like they were done, other than the one thing on Friday. So,
All right, so that concludes this evening's festivities, and we'll see everybody Thursday night at
Thursday.
6 o'clock for a special meeting.
perfect. Thank you.